Hey, Keith, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, John, it was just,
Perfect.
hey, can I ask you a favor? I don't know
Sure.
if you ran into technical difficulties, but let's get on like at 10 till, just so we're ready. I don't know if you were running into some issues. Who's AJ?
So I honestly tried to minimize the time before because we have the
Oh,
it kicks
okay. Oh,
off
then
right
just
as
let me
you
know
drop.
that. Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. Then just let me know that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Looks like we have Anupam and Randy. Are you on as well this morning? Looks like we have a few people already in the chat.
Hey, this is AJ.
Hey,
Good
AJ.
morning, AJ.
Hey, morning. How is it going?
Good. Do you want to use your video so we can see you?
It's not a pretty picture, but I'll start.
It's up to you.
I'll start. Hey, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, it's a pretty picture.
Morning. How are you?
Good.
It's funny. How are you doing?
I
For a
am
Thursday
doing
morning?
okay. Yeah. There's not much difference between a Sunday or a Thursday or
All the days somewhat run together now, right?
yeah, exactly. How's it going for you, Michael?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, it's things have been busy. I think everyone's starting to get over the initial, kind of shock and initial reactions to this whole Corona thing, and now we've seen business start to pick up a little bit. So some of the clients we were previously speaking with about some new projects have finally started to re-engage, and I think there's a great opportunity to start really ramping up here in May on our end. So looks like we added a few more people. Morning, Sherry. How are you? I think some people are still firing up their technology. So, but yeah, Keith, do you want to, should we get going?
Yeah, let's just wait for Randy and Sherry to connect and then we can.
So, John, it's interesting you mentioned Market Leaf. Does it work with the startup marketing as well, or?
Yes. We have done for Market Leaf. That's traditionally been a little bit more with service businesses. So
Okay.
we've worked more with kind of like accounting firms, some law firms, and we're actually rebuilding a lot of that business and kind of switching more into overall kind of sales funnel management services.
Sure.
We're going to try and pivot that into being a partner to Market Trust for companies that want to handle more of the complete marketing process or want us to do that for them. So that's one option we're exploring. But for right now, Market Trust is focused more on kind of the retail side of things. So
That's good.
Yeah,
Let's
looks
connect maybe afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do for sure. So looks like we have Sherry and Randy. Everyone's good to go. So good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Morning.
Glad to have you all on this morning. This is our third coffee and conversation session. Really, and I'll let Keith jump into a little bit more about what we're planning on talking about today, but really excited to have everyone here this morning and looking forward to another great conversation.
And Randy, I'm glad you're able to make it. It's good to see you.
Yeah, same here, Keith. Thanks for the invite.
Of course. And Sherry, welcome. I know you're new to the group, but glad to have you.
Thanks so much. I'm only available till 9:30, but I wanted to pop in, so thanks for having me.
Of course. And AJ, it's good to see you. Thanks again for joining us.
Sure.
So this morning's topic, what we do is we want to make it an interactive conversation, and we've had a variety of different people over the past few weeks, is really make it beneficial to each of the people and really brainstorm from a collaborative standpoint on ideas, whatever some of the challenges are that are facing your business. So each week we have a different topic and we kind of fire it up, and then we kind of collaborate so far as coming up with ideas and solutions to help each other. So today's topic is around marketing strategy, which is my background. John's more on the data side, and then our other teammate, partner, Taylor Gaines, she really handles social media. She had a conflict with today, otherwise she usually joins us. So on the marketing strategy, what I thought we could kick off and want to hear from everybody a little bit, but let me just tee it up a little bit, is we're seeing some really interesting campaigns go on. Obviously, given current circumstances, with COVID, it's challenging brands to think very differently about how to market their products. And one of the things, having dealt with, Fortune 500 companies as well as emerging businesses from a marketing and sales standpoint, is sometimes companies or entrepreneurs feel like, I don't have Pepsi's budget, or I don't have the budget of an Uber. But what we want to talk about this morning is, how do you take some of those learnings from some of those companies? What is it about their marketing efforts that is helping them to forge new ground and really gain loyalty from consumers today, but in a very genuine manner? And then applying that to your businesses, however it might apply or not apply, okay? So just to kick it off, and then I'd love to hear from, we want to go around, like we said, a lightning round, if you will. I think three of the really interesting marketing campaigns that have caught my attention, recently is, did anybody watch the event Saturday night, the Pepsi One World Together? By chance, it was on Saturday night on like two of the networks. It had all the celebrities, Chris Martin, Coldplay, Lady Gaga, etc. Any of you guys see it?
I saw the last 10 minutes. I missed the rest.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Sherry, AJ, John, did you guys see it? No?
I'd heard about it. Unfortunately,
No,
didn't
I
get a chance
didn't
to
see
tune
it.
in,
So what was really interesting to me about it is Lady Gaga opened it up, and then there was Chris Martin, like I mentioned, and just tons of other artists. But everybody was no makeup, no costume, no staging, totally genuine, very authentic, the way that you don't typically see people. And just in watching it, first of all, the music was fantastic, but it was very genuine. It was very empathetic. And I think that really came through, and it raised some ungodly amount of money, to go to COVID. It was like millions and millions of dollars. And people really saw the genuineness behind it. And you didn't really see a lot of Pepsi commercials. They didn't have the Pepsi can on the piano or, right next to while they were playing. It was done really well, again, in my opinion. Another one is Domino's. Have you guys seen the commercial with Domino's where they're hiring and how they want to put food on people's tables? And, if you need a job, come on in. But it's done in a very genuine way. They're really trying to help people who need a job to come into Domino's, and it's obviously the touchless delivery. So they're addressing that topic. So it's serving a couple different purposes, I think. One is it's offering people work, because there's a lot of people saying, where can I find a job? So one, it's just coming out and saying, we need help. And it's done by the franchisees, which have a vested interest in continuing to grow their business, right? They want to stay afloat. And then it's talking about putting food on people's tables. So I think it really works with the brand overall. And I thought it's a terrific campaign, because again, they're not even saying order Domino's. I mean, they're not even selling you a pizza. But because of how their approach is coming across, you want to support the company. You want to see how they're trying to support people and helping them get jobs. Again, that's my takeaway. And it's very genuine. And I think the companies that are doing that will really come out of this whole thing with far more loyalty. They'll have a good reputation. People will think very positively about them, versus some companies that are coming out and saying, if you buy this made here. People don't want that. They don't want to feel like you got to buy their product in order to contribute to whatever it might be, getting masks or, helping the doctors or whatever it might be. It's very self-serving, I guess would be the word. So those are two campaigns that I just wanted to kind of kick it off. Randy, Sherry, either one of you want to share, something that you've seen in the market that is really grabbing your attention?
I would say I've been watching Hallmark. I have a 9-year-old, so it's hard to find programming that all of us can watch at the same time. And so Hallmark is kind of that station for us in our home. And they've got a really great campaign where they've got all the actors that you see regularly on the show just sitting at home saying, we're in this together. You're not alone. They're, again, no makeup, to your point. very casually dressed. You know, some are sitting on the floor, you know, by their fireplace. Some are sitting by their couches. Some are at their tables. Some are cuddled with their children. And just saying, hey, it's family time. We're here with you. You know, we're all in this together. So I think those, to your point, those are the types of things that absolutely are resonating with consumers in this specific time frame. So.
Right. Randy?
A couple of things. I think probably a little bit more on the local level. There's several podcasts that I listen to that have to do with financial health, and two of them actually. What they've done is they've created either open hours, where they just have a chat like this and talk about specific issues in a particular person's portfolio or financial picture, and then use that to create examples that others can draw benefit from. Or in one case, I thought it was really neat. One of the financial advisors said, here's what I'll do. You spend 20 minutes with me on the phone, no obligation, and I'll create a very abbreviated high-level version of a financial plan or retirement plan for you. And if you decide that you want to go further, great. If not, there's no obligation. I want to try and help people to make sure that with this precipitous drop that we've had in the marketplace, that you feel comfortable that you're able to, you know, put food on the table going forward, and your financial picture is going to be healthy. So it's a way he's really giving back. He's dedicating a lot of time, and it literally is no obligation, just something to help the local community. That's one. Another one on a very local level for us, there's Walgreens, I think, has done a pretty good job of really promoting the fact that they want to help the community. They realize there's a shortage of certain goods and foods and availability of certain shelf items. So they basically opened up their drive-thrus, which are typically used for prescription pickup, for staples, baby diapers, you know, things for young children, bread, milk, the kinds of flour which you get these days, all available through Walgreens. And it's a service. It certainly benefits them in terms of their marketing, but it really is a service that is above and beyond what they normally would deliver on a daily basis, providing, I think, significant value. So, examples.
That's great. Thank you. AJ?
Hey. So for me, I would say the key has been, I don't watch too much of TV. I don't get a chance. But one of the things I noticed was a lot of these merchants, you know, retailers, they are currently struggling with how can they social distance while still delivering stuff like grocery or healthcare, etc., to their consumers. So I actually, you know, last 2-3 days we developed a app so that their store employees can still pick, pack, and then deliver to your door or to your car if you're outside the store. I would, you know, want to hear how best we can market that solution in this current time.
So, and we'll go around. John, you want to just share one campaign, and then we'll come back and address that. That's the next part, AJ, is
Sure.
how we could take some of these learnings from some of these companies that we're talking about and understand what your challenges are and brainstorm ideas on how we could adapt it. But just to give John a shot, go ahead, John.
Sure, really briefly.
Campaign or two that
The Hyundai Assurance Program is something that actually came out after the recession in 2008, and it was really designed to help purchasers of Hyundai cars, be able to continue, making their payments and really not lose the ability to be a car owner. And so they've actually brought that program back and have expanded it. And now I believe Hyundai is actually offering to make payments. I think it's for the first 6 months of if a Hyundai owner has lost their job. And so, they're kind of taking that next step now to go the extra mile. And I know it's right now, because everyone's staying at home, car ownership doesn't necessarily seem like the first thing that's on top of mind, but even for people's ability to get to the store if maybe they're more isolated areas, or even for their own sense of kind of financial well-being, as Randy pointed out, to have a car and to have that ownership once things ramp back up. It's a really important component of how people are dealing with this crisis. So that's been one that's really stood out to me as having had a really great impact in addressing maybe an area of people's lives that isn't on top of mind right now, given that everyone's staying home, but is still really important nonetheless. So that's just one campaign. But should we jump back into kind of AJ's question on how we can brainstorm some ideas based on everything we've pulled together here?
And I was just going to say, to your point, John, I did see a commercial that also not only mentioned, they mentioned deferring payments for existing owners. So I think those types of
yes, that's right,
programs are very much going to resonate with consumers during this time as well.
And it gets back to that thing of, how do brands take action in an authentic way, right? Because it would seem kind of weird if Hyundai started offering jobs to a bunch of people when cars aren't selling, people can't get out, right? So that wouldn't be something that is authentic to them as authentic as it is to Domino's, right? Because they still need delivery drivers and things. So, and I think that's something we'll get into here to kind of touch on AJ's point is, how do you position your brand and how do you take steps that are really authentic to what your business does? And I think that's one of the biggest things we want to touch on today for everyone's business here.
I'll just add one thing, just for myself personally. I actually offered my my service to seniors for free. So those that are 60 years and over, that need to have, a vault for their assets. I reached out to my church and just let him know if there are any seniors that need, to get their assets and affairs in order. I don't want to be the reason they don't have that organized and they don't have a repository to store that. So that is something that for my particular brand, where we know that this pandemic has, opened everyone's eyes to the need for some level of estate planning and storage and all of that. That's what we've done or communicated that we'd be willing to do to help support that.
Oh, well, sure. For everyone else's benefit, Sarah, I don't want to steal your thunder, but share a startup with the Founder Institute. And do you want to just touch on what your business does for a quick 10 seconds just to help kind of provide context?
I've got my little banner above. I don't even know how to take it off at this point. So I didn't even mean to pop in with it. I just don't know how to remove it. So I'm the founder of Life Snapshot, and it's a web application that simply consolidates all of your personal asset information into a simple one-page document. And then we have a platform that will allow you to also store any of your existing relevant estate planning documents. So a bit of a vault to make it easy to understand. And then we simply
It's really admirable.
Well, thank you. I mean, I didn't really know how to communicate it other than, I happened to be I lead our Leadership Day ministry at my church, was just all about leadership development and empowerment. And so just during that course of conversation, I communicated that specific, for the people that I know, but that's something I would love to help support others, right? It doesn't have to just be my church family, but I'm open to doing that. I hadn't put the messaging together for social media. We are on all of the major platforms. We've grown our following. We just launched last month. We've been in development for a while, but we launched in March. And right before the pandemic, we didn't know this was coming. Trust me, we didn't try to capitalize on this. I launched March 3rd, and it seemed like this unfolded a couple weeks later. So we launched last month and grew our following from 0 to over 700 at this point, and have generated revenue and customers. And so we haven't put the messaging out because I didn't want to feel like I was, doing something slimy during the pandemic. So I've been very like whispering, what I'm doing. I don't know exactly how to say that without feeling like I'm trying to take advantage of people. So I just haven't said it. We're just kind of doing it behind the scenes. So however you think I should be doing it, I'm open to recommendations, but I just didn't want to use this pandemic to push my brand and like force it down anyone's throat. So we've kind of been quiet.
Randy, you have any suggestions? Any thoughts? Hey, there's some noise in the background with, I'm not sure if you guys hear it. Can you guys hear okay? Okay. Randy, any thoughts for Sherry?
Yeah, not fully fleshed out. Certainly, it seems that a good target audience for you there would be people who are already involved with financial planners or estate planners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of, firms like Merrill Lynch and Fidelity and Morgan Stanley. And I think those would be difficult to sell at this point, given the, how early stage you are and issues around security and data privacy and that kind of thing. But independent financial consultants or financial coaches, independent estate planners, not sure the organizations specifically that might apply to those. You have to do research on that. I think that would be a great target to let them know this is a service that you can offer, and maybe for clients over 60 it's free. For others, there's a trial period, whatever. But at least initially during the COVID crisis, you offer your services for free. And I'm sure you could convert a sizable portion of those later on. But those are the perfect clients as far as I can tell, the targets.
No, you're absolutely right. Those are our targets. So we're targeting certified financial planners and estate planning attorneys. Those are our targets. I had conversations just last week with some estate planning attorneys that are interested in using this as an add-on for their business. So yes, I have shared that with them. But in terms of broadcasting this to the masses, I didn't know how to do that from a branding perspective without feeling opportunistic. So I've kind of just been whispering it in small conversations like this and sharing it through word of mouth with my church, and just not trying to again feel opportunistic, but try to bring some value and support where I can. But I thank you for that.
But one thing that comes to mind, I'm sorry, Randy.
Go ahead.
One thing that comes to mind is to not, and that's what we're talking about, is not to be opportunistic,
Right.
but you want to stay in business and add value. It's exactly what this conversation is about.
Right.
So, in addition to what Randy was just saying, I was thinking of two different things. One is it's all in the messaging, and how you communicate that. And when you think about what's taking place, especially with nursing homes and how it's affecting, families and the people in nursing homes, it's how to protect your assets now, how to make sure you have everything organized. Could be one audience. And the second audience is your church group. So far as letting them know and referrals and word of mouth. And again, from a scaling standpoint, it depends upon how much you want to scale, again, so you can manage the growth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from a messaging standpoint, it's, we're in difficult times, protect your assets. We're here to help. That kind of messaging thing, I think, can really resonate well with people.
Thank you. And that's our slogan or kind of mantra is secure your assets, right? Like that's our goal. And that's what we want to do. That's why we want to help people. We've listened to the market over the last couple of months. We started off with a $24.99 a month price. We did some A/B testing over the last month. We're down to $14.99 a month. And we're offering, we first started off where you had to pay for the year. Now we're doing monthly billing. So we're trying to be flexible even in the option so that people feel like, with financial changes, you want to make sure they have the ability to pay for it and not feel overwhelmed at that price point. So we've done a lot of adjustments to help support. That's just great. So we're listening.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Add one thing in terms of organizations and certifying bodies, if you will, that might be a way to get at that broader financial or estate planning audience. Things like I'm sure you're familiar with CFP designation, Certified Financial Planner,
Mhm.
which is an organization that certifies all financial advisors, and at least exploring reaching out to them to say, this is a free service that I'm offering that you can add on to your suite of services that you're providing your customers. It may be a way to get the word out through an organization that has a very broad distribution. Maybe
No,
even,
that's great.
I was just thinking as I was talking, ARP is another possible organization. They put out regular member benefits and newsletters on a regular basis to their audience, which is, you'd mentioned 60 and above. I think, most our members are 50 plus, but that would be another organization. It might be fairly easy to tap into where they don't have the regular certified financial planning organization, but are more than willing to sponsor, if you will, or at least mention benefits that their members can get for free. So another avenue.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts for sharing?
Yeah, I think just one thing in general, and it applies to Sherry's businesses and everyone else's here, is sharing your own story is really powerful, right? We've all heard that, and we all kind of know what that means. But a lot of times, sometimes something like COVID forces you to think about your own personal story in a different way. So, why did you start your business? What problem or what set of pressures were you feeling for which you needed a solution, and that really drove you to start your company, right? So, I think in Sherry's case, it's very natural progression to help share that story in a way that's authentic to a problem that people are really facing right now, right? So whether it's a personal experience that kind of pushed you to, found Life Snapshots, or whether it's, maybe a experience with a family member or a friend or something, or just a common problem you saw repeatedly, I think sharing your story about why you started your business is a really great way to make that authentic connection and to continue, into not making it feel like you're trying to force a sale during COVID, or that you're trying to, just fit your company to the situation, right? I think that's, people connect with stories. And so when they understand why you first came up with the solution you did, or the product or service, it helps take away some of your own anxiety and wanting to, obviously sell it and continue your business going forward, but also in the way that people respond to your messaging. So just think about, I think for everyone here, and I've been trying to do it myself, is how does my own personal story or the founding story of the business connect with what people are feeling now? And sometimes it just takes a little bit of thought. And, I always take a piece of paper and just kind of just jot down keywords about what I was feeling when I first founded the company, why I did it, and maybe see if there's some buzzwords that kind of match up between that experience and some of the emotions and problems and situations that people are encountering right now with COVID. So just a
I
tip
think
that
you're
I
right. No, I think you're right. And I did that on Facebook. So if you check my Facebook page, you'll see my video. And we had over 7,000 views. And so that was when we knew, okay, people have to hear from me. So you can't just leave this company. You have to get out there a little bit. So yes, you're right. I did tell my personal story.
That's terrific.
That's
awesome.
great.
I appreciate you guys so much. I have a 9:30, so I'm gonna hop off, but I feel like I stole the whole first half of the hour. But
No, it's great. It's great. Join
please
us
invite
next
me
week.
back. Please invite me back.
Absolutely.
Every
Make sure
Thursday,
I
Sherry.
can stay the whole time.
Please do. Have a good day.
Take care, Sherry.
Bye, Sherry.
So Randy, tell us a little bit about your thoughts, as it relates to how we can, any ideas that you have to what we're discussing?
Well, I think I think a lot of it has been said already. It's very relevant. I think that the thing to me is the word that came up that was really the trigger for me was the word genuine. And I think that's the challenge, is to find something that fits a real pain point and need in the marketplace today, and effectively create goodwill if you will, around the solution you have, while also at the same time, not visibly, but promoting your brand and your own benefit of the company. And I think those are in previous times. I think it's a little bit more difficult where those may be mutually exclusive. And now today, given the current situation that we're in, and the fact that the audience generally is listening to a much greater degree, they have free time on their hands, they're engaged, they're more relaxed, they're more open to messaging. I think coming up with that intersection of what promotes your business longer term, but also solves a pain point in the crisis that we have today. That's the genuine piece, and that's the challenge. So I think a lot of it's been said, but good stuff.
Yeah, I really do think that authenticity is always key, right? And sometimes it's easy to forget when kind of times are good and things are rolling, and everyone's making purchases, across products and services. So you kind of forget about it and just get swept up in the kind of the good times. But it is important to remember throughout, and it's something I always have to kind of force myself back into remembering, is that what's your authentic mission here, really. And that's ultimately, I think, what's kind of helped us grow with Market Trust and other businesses. One thing I think from my perspective, it's been a really interesting time to make investments in our business, and not just from a financial sense, but also from like a time and resource perspective. And given that clients were a little bit slower, we've taken a step back and tried to focus on building out some of the infrastructure to our business, right? So from a more practical perspective, some of the kind of marketing automation things that we've been trying to do, such as like setting up email sequences and things that just take some stuff off of our plate that we haven't had time to allocate to before. Would be interested to hear from Randy, AJ, Andy, who joined us as well. Have there been things that now that maybe clients have been a little bit slower, that you've taken a step or two back and focused on addressing some things that you would maybe put on the back burner for a little bit to kind of help you grow your business coming out of this, and just other kind of business management things in general? I don't know, AJ or Andy, would you like to take it?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Andy.
So we're totally hospitality oriented. So it's a good thing that we weren't really pushing the app yet. We have a very rough MVP in the Apple App Store, but we're making a lot of changes to it, both on the back end with switching API partners and stuff like that. So it's a good thing we weren't live, because we would have been shut off like a faucet. So it kind of works out good, because we couldn't push it anyway. It lets us just focus on app development and finishing what we need to do with the app. And hopefully it'll be in a better shape by June or June or July when things start opening up, and then we're going to push. But it's just kind of just sitting there, and we're not promoting it really. We're doing a little bit of social media posting and stuff like that, but we're really not trying to drive adoption, because I think we'll have a lot of disappointed users.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Andy. Is how do timing is really key here, and not just from the perspective of when, and not trying to like anticipate when things open back up, but how do you keep customers or even prospects happy throughout all of this, right? Understanding where they're coming from and things of that nature. And I know everyone's hesitant to kind of invest in marketing at this point, and I think there's certainly some good reason to that, not only from a financial perspective, but you really just have to be careful with kind of the balance of where customers' expectations are, right? I know we've felt that as well, in terms of trying to meet where people are at, and not try to overpromise them something just to help them kind of feel better. So I think just being realistic with the messaging that you're putting out in the market as well is really important. AJ, have you taken any time to, whether it's time or kind of investing in kind of some back-end infrastructure of your business, or systems or processes or anything of that nature, has this been an opportunity for you to take advantage of maybe some downtime on the client side?
Well, there's two things which did happen. First, I think the customers are much more receptive to the delivery and supply chain issues. because they are seeing it day in and day out. So those conversations have gone up. Also, I believe, and some of the other people do believe, this is not just a temporary blip. It will significantly change not only supply chain but some of the consumer behaviors in terms of how they get this stuff and get it delivered, etc. So we are using this opportunity to ramp up our own capacity. I talked about one of those, not only how we can deliver, but deliver to curbside if the customer is there in the driveway or in outside the store. So we are using this to learn really and be able to quickly adapt and build our capacity. One thing which we do struggle with is our ability to market that message correctly, and I'm really keen to hear thoughts from all you wise guys.
So on the messaging, it really goes to what are you trying to, this is exactly the conversation, and what are you trying to communicate? How do you want to reach those people, whether it's sending them, whether it's via email, whether it's on your package delivery, whether it's how are you we would need to understand, and it'd be great to have a conversation with you offline if you'd like, but understand what your delivery is, what are you trying to communicate?
Sure.
And again, Randy, to your point, and that's the word that I always use, is genuine. And Andy, you have actually a terrific opportunity, and it'd be great to learn what you're going to be going to market with when you do come out, and how you're adapting to these changes from a solution standpoint. And we're all kind of saying the same thing. It's like it's the new normal, right? It's what everybody is saying. And it's really interesting. Mark Cuban, Salesforce has hired Mark Cuban, so he does these talks. And there was an excerpt that I was reading this morning, and he said, if there's ever a time to market yourself, it's right now. It's just about being very genuine and very authentic. And again, being smart about it, because again, budgets are not what they were, not what you even thought they might be, but it's being very smart and strategic about it. So, and we have just under 2 minutes, but does that answer your question, AJ? Again, we want to be, add value to make sure that you're getting information out of the conversation this morning.
I think I'm getting good pointers. Probably what will help is, since I need so much of help in that area, I'll set up a time with you or John, and we'll see how best we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if everybody's comfortable, you could just go in the chat and share your email with everybody, and that way we've all got it. And we post this, so I'm putting it out now. But feel free, if you're comfortable. I want to connect with the group. I just sent mine. Feel free to add to it. John and I are available. We can be glad to set up a call. Andy, same thing with you. Randy, I know we're talking tomorrow morning, which I'm looking forward to. That'll be good.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
I said, sounds good. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good discussion.
Andy, any, we got like a little bit less than a minute. Any thoughts that you have?
One real quick thought was, I would have never thought that something like this was possible. So it's caused me to think long and hard on the product side about how we would survive this. Were we live and revenue generating if this were to happen again? I know that's not a marketing thing, but on the product side, it's caused me to think a lot about, would we have to have a lot of reserves to survive? Would we have to diversify in other areas that are thriving right now, like delivery and that sort of thing? So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that adaptability is what this whole thing is about. How can you, pivot, again, to use that buzzword, right?